Hey everyone, and welcome to this new episode of Explicitly Pro-Life. I'm Kristin Hawkins. Today I just want to start out the episode talking about what just happened in California. So last week, on Friday, of course, the new governor of California, Gavin Newsom, fulfilled his campaign promise and signed into law SB 24. This is the campus abortion bill. This is something we've been fighting for the past 3 years here at Students for Life. I was there in Sacramento this spring testifying against this horrific bill. This is going to fundamentally alter college campuses in California because now every state university in California will have to turn into an abortion facility. Their campus health centers are going to have to dispense the abortion pill. It's horrific. Women are going to die. They're going to die alone, sitting on their dormitory toilet, flushing as being directed by the campus health center. They will hemorrhage to death. There's going to be lawsuits that result from this. And so there's a lot of work we have to do as pro-lifers. I was on Fox News earlier this morning talking about this. We're going to play a clip for you right now.
California becomes the first state in the nation to force public universities to provide abortion pills at campus health centers. Governor Gavin Newsom signing the bill into law. It will take effect in 2023 as long as the state raises over $10 million in private donations to pay for it. Now the pro-life group Students for Life is fighting back, offering legal aid to those that are threatened by this law. The president of that group is Kristin Hawkins, and she joins us now. Hey, Kristin.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
You're welcome. Okay, so tell me about this law and what you have a problem with.
Sure. Well, this is a first-in-the-nation law that's going to fundamentally alter what's happening on college campus health centers. So every state college campus in California will now be turned into an abortion facility. They are going to have to dispense RU486, the abortion pill, right on campus, despite the fact that there are abortion facilities between 5 and 7 miles from every state college campus in California. This has been a concerted effort. They've been trying to do this for several years. Last year, the pro-choice governor of California, Jerry Brown, actually vetoed this law, saying this was unnecessary. But the new governor, Governor Newsom, has signed into law, fulfilling a campaign pledge and basically fulfilling the wishes of the abortion industry here.
This is what Governor Newsom says. He says as other states and the federal government go backward, restricting reproductive freedom in California, we are moving forward. We are removing barriers to reproductive health, increasing access on college campuses, and using technology to modernize how patients interact with providers. What do you think about that?
Well, just fundamentally, we need to understand abortion is not health care. And giving these dangerous drugs to women to go and have abortions on their dormitory toilet bowls, telling them just to flush and not look, is not good for anyone. There's going to be women who die alone in their dorm rooms because of this bill. We know already from the abortion industry's own estimates between 15 and 75 women just a month are going to have to seek additional care because these abortion pills aren't going to work. And these campus health centers aren't equipped to deal with the emergency responsibilities here. The conscience rights of healthcare workers on these college campuses will be violated because now instead of serving patients to help them promote good, healthy decisions, they're now going to be working at an abortion facility. We've set up a website, nocampusabortions.com, and we're encouraging any campus health center worker in the state of California to go to that site and to get in contact with us because we'll help you fight this. We've already seen the Supreme Court has told the state of California before that they can't force taxpayers, they can't force citizens in the state to have to violate their conscience rights and to be a marketing tool of the abortion industry. And we're going to be helping these campus health center workers deal with this and fight these conscience violations that are happening.
Okay, what's your website in case people do want to get in touch with you?
Yeah, go to nocampusabortions.com and you can sign up and we'll put you in touch with our team of lawyers who are standing by to help. But we're going to stop this and we're not going to let this go beyond California because this is shameful what's happening.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that clip. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather today, so I'm not real sure what I said on Fox, but I think it was okay. I didn't get any nasty emails yet from my staff. But yeah, we have a lot of work to do. We're going to be filing, hopefully, some lawsuits protecting the conscience rights of healthcare workers there in California. This probably is it's supposed to be privately funded for the first 4 years. But then after that, we have a pretty good feeling that it's going to become student funded and taxpayer funded. So we're also going to be fighting to protect the conscience rights of students and taxpayers in California. So if you know of anyone who works on the campus health center in California, tell them to go to nocampusabortions.com right now. They can sign up. We've got lawyers standing by. We're already working with several campus health center workers in California who don't want to turn into abortion facility workers, which this law makes them do. So we've got to stop this in California. We've got to show the state of California that we're going to make this expensive battle for them to fight. You know, the state's own Department of Finance came out this August advising the governor not to sign this bill into law, which he disregarded because of his undying love for the abortion industry. So we need to continue to keep the pressure up here on California. One of the reasons is because, you know, what happens in California sadly does not stay in California. If we're going to build a wall around anything, I think it should be around the state of California, sadly. And so we already know other states with, you know, avid pro-abortion politicians are looking at exporting this bill. So we need to make sure we keep the pressure on California, not only to protect women, save lives in California, but to stop this from spreading to other states, because I think this is part of a broader scheme that the abortion movement has right now. Is they see that the number of brick and mortar abortion facilities, the number of those facilities continue to decline. It's expensive to keep them operating. You've got states like Missouri making sure that, you know, there's basic ambulatory surgical restrictions that are being followed, and abortion facilities don't want to have to follow those, you know, safety precautions, and so they just shut down, or like in St. Louis right now, operate without a license. And so it's becoming too expensive. The abortion industry doesn't really know what to do with all the bodies of the babies they abort, as you can see by the Indiana abortionist who recently died, who the police have found all these dead babies buried in his backyard, and they found a bunch in his car recently. They don't really know what to do with all the bodies of the babies they abort. This was found in one of the NAF videos that David DeLeiden recorded undercover in 2014 in National Abortion Federation, where there was an actual session talking about what to do with all the babies, how to dispose of all the babies. And there were a lot of horrific things that came out of that. There's, I guess, special dishwashing tabs. They have a special dishwasher. There's different drains that they're using. Different facilities. One abortionist said she was renting storage units to put all the babies in. So the abortion pill answers a lot of those problems, because then the abortion industry doesn't have to have a brick and mortar facility. They can have any doctor prescribe the abortion pill, and they don't really have to worry about the disposal of the baby either, because they just tell her to sit on the toilet and flush. So these toilet bowl abortions really are what I believe Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry see as the future of their industry, something that's going to lower their overhead and their costs, which you all know they're all about lowering their costs. So it's important for us to continue to fight this. I hope you'll spread that clip of me on Fox around, and make sure you continue to talk about the No Campus Abortions website. Encourage anyone you know who might be a worker at a campus healthcare center at a UC, University of California, or a California State University. Make sure they sign up, and we can get the legal help they need to make sure they don't have to become an abortion provider on the campus. Now, today I want to talk about making abortion illegal again. So I'm heading down to Liberty University. I'm here at our lovely headquarters in Virginia, at Students for Life's headquarters. I'm going to be heading down to Liberty University in a couple of hours, and I'm going to be delivering my Make Abortion Illegal Again fall tour speech. So every school year, I kind of create a new presentation I'd like to take to campuses. And this is one I thought that was really timely and relevant, considering we're hearing a lot in the media about the reversal of Roe versus Wade. And, you know, we're going to continue to hear about this as we get closer and closer to the 2020 election. The other side, the abortion movement, is scared to death, pun intended, that abortion is going to be made illegal, that Roe is going to be reversed, and abortion is going to be made illegal in our land if President Trump is reelected next November. And so they are talking about the reversal of Roe, using it as a scare tactic everywhere they go. In fact, when we started Students for Life, I used to talk about the reversal of Roe and said, like, hey, we're a post-Roe organization. I'd introduce ourselves that way. I'd use it in my elevator pitch. And a lot of people told me to stop saying that because it was scary of saying we're a post-Roe organization, because it just sounded too scary, even to pro-lifers, because people were like, well, what does that mean? And what does that look like? And so I think this is something strategically as a pro-life movement, we need to talk about what an America without Roe looks like, because they're doing it. And if we're not there talking about and painting our vision and showing people what our vision is for a post-Roe America, they're going to speak for us. And we all know what they think of us. So I'm going on campuses talking about a make abortion illegal again. It is a provocative topic, just like my Lies Feminists Tell speech. But the goal is hopefully we can bring in pro-choice, mushy middle, pro-abortion students in to hear me talk. And they can be mad at me all they want. Hopefully they stay and ask good questions. But the goal is not to be speaking to just, our crowd, pro-lifers, but to really get the message out and to start having this discussion, a rational discussion of what America without Roe versus Wade looks like. I think what's so sad is when you think about America today and what young women are being told in America today, they're being raised with this belief that abortion is necessary, that in order to have the life you've always dreamed for yourself, to get that college education, to enter that career field you want to have, you have to have abortion. And ladies, we're only as far as we are because of abortion. And that's really the messaging we hear. That's what we hear, the rhetoric from Planned Parenthood and NARAL. They make it seem like everything that we have as women in America is simply because of abortion. That if abortion on demand is taken away, suddenly women are going to go back and being forced to be barefoot and pregnant in their kitchens. There'll be black and white TV, no cell phones. It'll be terrible. Okay, whatever. That's not the case, and that's certainly not the vision of what pro-lifers are painting for a post-Roe America and what we envision for a post-Roe America. And so we really have seen this perversion of women's rights, where everything we want suddenly always comes down to abortion. But I would make the argument, and one the argument I'm making on college campuses is that legal abortion today actually sets women back, because we know abortion is the opposite of empowerment. Abortion tells women, no, you can't. No, you're not strong enough to continue your education and have your child. You're not strong enough to continue to seek out that career and work towards that career goal that you've been trying to achieve, and also be a mother. No, you have to repress these negative emotions, that feeling in your gut you have when you think about abortion, that icky feeling, in order to serve yourself. And that's wrong. And it's so sad. And you think about what women are being told in the Casey v. Planned Parenthood decision in the early 1990s. There was actually a quote, and I don't have the quote here, but Justice Kennedy, who wrote the opinion for the case, and the case was, the biggest abortion case after Roe v. Wade, and it decided the constitutionality of several state restrictions on abortion the state of Pennsylvania had placed. And, we had some good and bad come from that decision. The whole ability, the ability to pass incremental laws to restrict abortion came from the success of that case. But it was also bad because that case reaffirmed Roe. And in the majority opinion, Kennedy actually wrote, and it's one of the things that I remember from my constitutional law class in college, Kennedy actually wrote, like, women need abortion in order to be on the equal playing field as men in the workplace. And, like, how messed up is that we have to have abortion? How misogynistic is that to say that? I just remember reading that going, what the hell was he thinking when he wrote that? So, I think what we need to do as pro-lifers is we need to paint that vision of saying, yes, our goal in the pro-life movement is twofold. It's to make abortion illegal and unthinkable. By the way, if anyone in the pro-life movement tells you their goal isn't to make abortion illegal, they're either being disingenuous with you, they're lying to you because they don't want to sound scary, or they're not really anti-abortion, because you can't be against abortion and still think it's legal. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. But we know it's it's a twofold goal because people derive their morality from legality. So you're going to have to make it legal to change some minds. But we also know making it illegal is not going to stop it. It's not certainly going to stop some of the reasons that women seek abortions. And so you have to also make it unthinkable. So why does Roe versus Wade, first of all, have to go? And this is kind of the question I bring up on campuses, and I'm not going to go through that with you today. But you all know why Roe must go, why legal abortion must go, because it violently ends the life of a preborn human child who has the same value and dignity as you and I, and because it hurts women. That's very basic. That's why Roe has to go. And on the campuses, I take out my fetal models and some of my abortion tools, and I demonstrate what happens in an abortion of first trimester, second trimester, and third trimester abortion. And I challenge any student, is this not violence? Does anyone here disagree with me that what's happening here is violence? Because the only way you have success in abortion is if you stop the beating heart of a human being. You have to stop that beating heart violently. Like, no one can disagree with you. And we've had this on campuses. No one disagrees with us that abortion is innately a violent act. Where people disagree is whether or not they care about that violent act. I actually quote the National Abortion Federation's own instructions for a D&E abortion in my presentation, which you can hear a pin drop in the room when I go through that. It's crazy how the abortion industry speaks about abortion and that so many continue to support it. It's unbelievable. So I talk about why abortion kills human beings, and that's wrong. I also talk about why abortion and how it harms women. I was actually doing some research over on the NIH website not long ago, and there's dozens and dozens of peer-reviewed journal articles about the side effects of abortion and how they harm women. So I go through that. The increased risk for suicide, increased risk for depression, increased risks of drug and alcohol abuse. The British Journal article, the British Journal of Psychiatry, the meta-analysis of 15 years of data showing that there was an 81% increased risk of mental health problems. I talk about, risk for placenta previa, risks for preterm birth, even breast cancer. So I go through that a little bit. I also go talk about, how dangerous the abortion facilities are. That these are like unregulated, wild west. I mean, you talk about, the two most unregulated places in America today are abortion and IVF clinics. Like, no one there touches them. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, the one abortion facility left in the state of Missouri, the St. Louis Planned Parenthood there, is literally operating without a license. The state refuses to grant a license because the Planned Parenthood refuses to make sure they follow the law. But yet, one federal judge is allowing the Planned Parenthood to keep their doors open. Americans United for Life did a good report last year, came out with, and it was all about clinic violations. And so they searched public health records in 30 states using an 8-year window. So they did 2008 to 2016. From their own research, they found that there were 1,400 health and safety violations from 227 facilities. And because there's a lack of abortion reporting in our country, facilities like, in the largest abortion state, California, couldn't even be fully evaluated. And they went on to list like the top violations that these abortion facilities continue to receive from the Department of Health, from the government agencies, not pro-lifers, from government agencies within their own states, citing the Planned Parenthoods, citing the abortion facilities. So their top violations: failure to ensure a safe and sanitary environment. Hello? Failure to accurately document patient records and keep patient medical information confidential. Failure to ensure staff are properly trained. Unlicensed, unqualified, untrained staff providing patient care. Expired medications and medical supplies. Like, where are we in the freaking third world? Failure to adopt, follow, or periodically review health and safety protocols. Failure to properly handle medications. Failure to comply with physical plant standards. Failure to monitor patient vital signs. Can you imagine, like, any other industry in the country having some sort of report come out saying that they failed to monitor patient vital signs, had expired medications and medical supplies? Can you, like, the plastic surgeon like industry. I don't know, like I don't know what they call themselves, like the breast enhancement people. Can you imagine, like, there would be like a undercover 2020 report. It would be on the CBS Evening News about how all these women were going to get breast enhancements, and yet these facilities were operating dirty clinics that were giving them expired medications. But this goes on like every day in America, every single day, and no one talks about it. No one talks about it. They, in the beginning of the AUL report, they said in 2015, an Atlanta TV station reviewed inspection records for all of Georgia's licensed abortion facilities. Their own investigation uncovered multiple and repeated health and safety violations, including unsterilized equipment, expired medications, an event in a biohazard room taped up with cardboard, stirrups wrapped in duct tape, and soiled linens in procedure rooms. This isn't even, like, where the hell is the congressional investigation of the abortion industry here? So I talk about this on campus, of not only making the case of that abortion is violently ending the life of a unique whole human being, which, if you disagree with me that's a unique whole human being, then you probably aren't smart enough to be in college. But it's also harming women. And I talk about these real side effects that women are enduring today, that my friends who've had abortions have had to deal with, and the fact that they're still happening, and the abortion industry is still harming women. So I make this case for why it's okay for Roe to be reversed, so why abortion is bad. And then I also go into, let's dispel some of the myths that you've heard and you're going to continue to hear about pre-Roe America, because this is what the abortion industry does, right? They kind of wave their hand up over here. And it's like, look here, look here, look here. Don't ever look over here. Don't look at our dirty, unlicensed facilities. Don't look here. Look over here. Back alley abortions. Remember, this is why abortion has to be legal. I mean, this is their entire argument. Their entire argument is that they have to keep unlicensed, dirty abortion facilities operating because back alley abortions. Well, if you actually look at the data, this scary boogeyman that they paint, that's not actually what happened in pre-Roe America. And you can look at their own statistics and their own people. So Dr. Bernard Nathanson, the co-founder of NARAL Pro-Choice America, at the time it was the National Association for the Repeal of Abortion Laws, he and his other co-founder, they're the ones that went to Betty Friedan and told her, convinced her to include abortion in the second edition of Feminist Mystique. Bernard Nathanson, who later in life became a Christian, who later in life became pro-life, admitted that they fabricated the numbers as to the number of women who are dying from illegal abortions before Roe to help, increase public sympathy. Christopher Tietze, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right. He's dead, so it's hard to get a good pronouncement on it, but it's Tietze. He was a researcher who was actually honored by Planned Parenthood in 1973. His work was actually recently refeatured in the Washington Post fact checker article about the very question of were women dying in back alley abortions, because the previous president of Planned Parenthood, the one they aborted, the one they fired at 9 months, Leanna Wynn, she kept going on TV this spring saying thousands of women were dying before Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade is needed because thousands of women were dying. And the Washington Post, not a pro-life source, actually said she's wrong. They found a 1948 paper that Christopher Tietze wrote that said the number of deaths with abortion was rapidly declining because of the invention of penicillin and other drugs that are needed to fight infection. Drugs I need to take right now. If you can tell, my voice is not great. 1959, the medical director of Planned Parenthood, one of the lead researchers on abortion, Mary Calderone, wrote, "Abortion is no longer a dangerous procedure." In 1957, there were only 260 deaths in the whole country attributed to abortions of any kind. That's a direct quote, 260. Then she went on to say that she believed this decline, like Tietze, was attributed to the invention of penicillin of antibiotics. And she also said that the fact was that 90% of abortions were being committed by physicians in good standing in their communities, not the back alley abortionists that you always hear about. In 1969, Tietze wrote again. He said, some 30 years ago, it was judged that such deaths might number between 5,000 to 10,000 per year, women of deaths of women who died from illegal abortions. But this rate, even if it was approximately correct at the time, cannot be anywhere near the true rate now. The total number of deaths from all causes among women of reproductive age in the U.S., this is 1969, is not more than 50,000 per year. The National Center for Health Statistics listed 235 deaths from abortion in 1965. Total mortality from illegal abortions was undoubtedly large in that figure, but in all likelihood, it was under 1,000. There you go, folks. I just dispelled the back alley abortion myth that you've heard, that you'll continue to hear all throughout 2019 and 2020. It didn't exist. There weren't thousands of women dying from back alley abortions. Reversing Roe, making abortion illegal again, is not going to result in the deaths of thousands of women dying in a back alley abortion. It's just not going to happen. So, what do we do? And what's our proposal as the pro-life movement? What are we offering America to replace legalized abortion? I think that's often a question too, is you can't, a lot of people say you just can't be anti-something, you have to be for something. Well, yeah, we're for something, it's called life. But, people want real policy prescriptions. So I have some things I think we can talk about of places we can start that, hopefully appeal to both political conservatives and political liberals. I know that's also a challenge too, right? You have, some pro-life liberals are saying, this is why we need government-funded health care. No. Government-funded healthcare, socialized healthcare is not a pro-life policy position. I think I've done a show on that before. I'm not sure if I haven't. I need to do one. I was on Fox News last week, actually, talking about why government-funded healthcare, socialized healthcare, is a bad freaking idea, and it is not a pro-life stance. But I understand how people think, like, if we just had free healthcare, no one would choose abortion. That's not the case. Women are still going to choose abortions because women actually now in America, if you're pregnant and you don't qualify for health care, you get free health care. You actually will qualify for free health care. And your baby will continue to have health care after your baby is born. So that's actually not an excuse today. It doesn't solve the problem. And all it's going to do is mandate taxpayer-funded abortions, which all the candidates running for president, the Democratic ticket, have already said they want to reverse the Hyde Amendment and force you to pay for everyone's abortions for any reason at all stages of pregnancy, all 9 months. Just keep that in mind. So what can we do? Where can we start? I think the first thing we can talk about is local innovations, local support. Pro-life groups and conservatives in general follow that Catholic, principle of subsidiarity, which, fancy term for, you get your aid and your assistance. It should happen locally at the level closest to the people. That's what we do right now. We have more than 2,500, almost 3,000 pregnancy resource centers, pregnancy medical centers, pro-life medical centers, maternity homes that are there offering in the community, offering crisis counseling, pregnancy tests, STD treatment, in-house ultrasounds, in-house pregnancy care or referrals for free pregnancy care, maternity homes, classes, mentoring classes for new parents, life skills classes. These are charitable institutions right there in the community. We need to do more with these centers. I've talked about this before, and I'll continue to say this. I think where we get our butt kicked is that Planned Parenthood is one national brand, and our pregnancy centers are all spread out. And so there's never like a national marketing campaign of we're pro-life, here's how many we serve, here's where to go. And I think that hurts us in terms of getting the word out. We've done polling before at Students for Life, asking students, if you had a friend who is pregnant in crisis and doesn't want an abortion, do you know where you should help, send her or where she should turn to? And people just are like, no, we don't know. That should never be the case. So I think we need to continue to innovate locally. I've seen a lot of great, I speak at these pregnancy center galas across the country, and I've been seeing a lot of great innovation happen on these local levels of what do we need to do more? We need to do STD testing, but now we need to offer STD treatment. And, what can we do to outcompete Planned Parenthood in the marketplace, to do everything Planned Parenthood does except abortions and give out hormonal dangerous birth control? I think we need to continue to innovate locally and putting our money where our mouth is. I think we need to do a better job of marketing those resources nationally so women know there's a place to go. I think our foster care system, I get asked a lot about foster care on college campuses, which it's really sad because it's almost like children in foster care are like being used to justify abortion, as if their lives don't matter, or the fact that they're living through something difficult and have to overcome this adversity in their life, that they were better off dead. It's pretty scary. But there's things that we need to do there. Like, I have a friend who served in the state house. She was the youngest elected official in Ohio. And, when you talk about the foster care system, she said that she found out in Ohio, to match foster care, the goal of foster care isn't adoption, by the way. A lot of people kind of think it is. The goal of foster care is to take a child out of a bad situation, but then reunite that child with their parents, with their family. It's trying to keep children with their family. And so when you're dealing with foster care and a child's been taken from their parents, especially in situations of drug addiction or something like that, the goal is to find, the surviving family members and match them with family members who will take them. She said that in the state of Ohio, they're using an Excel sheet. They're trying to gather data of family members of these children, and they're using an Excel sheet. But they found that with just simple technology, using social media that can scan social media, they can actually find family members way faster than having to go and individually interview people or Google or whatever the social workers are doing. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what's happening. But they were using an Excel sheet. So we need to continue to figure out what's going on in our communities, what's going on in our state and our cities, and how can we innovate and use technology to help match children with their biological families. The other thing we need to do is we need to actually promote families. Abortion has taken, the concept of sex and separate from procreation. I mean, it's like you can hear a pin drop sometimes when I say on campus, well, natural consequence of two heterosexuals having sex is creating a new human being. This is new information, which is scary and a shocking indictment of our educational system in America. But that's what abortion and birth control has largely done. It's separated sex from procreation, that you can have sex with whoever you want, whenever you want, and it doesn't mean you're going to create a child. But do you want to know the one trick to becoming wealthier, having better sex and more sex and being happier? The easiest way to ensure that your child succeeds in life, reduces your child's chance of incarceration, reduces your child's chance of joining a gang or having relationship issues or addiction. It's very easy. Get married. Get married to the person you're having sex with, and ensure that your child has a mother and a father at home. It's ridiculously simple. It's ridiculously simple. Kids in female-headed families, so single-parent families, are 4 times as more likely as kids with married parents to live in poverty. This is science here. So the Brookings Institute. So I was looking this up the other day. They said, in addition to the thousands of local and national programs that aim to help young people avoid life-altering problems, we need to figure out more ways to convince young people that their decisions greatly influence whether they avoid poverty and enter the middle class. So they had this whole argument of saying we need to have politicians, school teachers, administrators, community leaders, ministers, parents drill into their children this message. That when you enter adulthood with 3 major responsibilities. First, finish high school. Pretty easy to do. I mean, anyone can do it. Get a full-time job and wait until age of 21 to get married and have children. Brookings Research Institute shows that American adults who follow these simple rules, only 2% of them lived in poverty, and nearly 75% joined the middle class. And better sex. I sometimes when I research for speeches, I have to admit, I get in these rabbit trails where I find something and I'm like, what? People who are married have more sex. They actually have better sex, more gratifying sex, which makes sense. If you're having sex with the same person, you tend to be able to communicate and learn what you like and what you don't like. There's some really interesting articles about semen as well. Psychology Today conclude that semen makes women happier. It also bonds women to men. And there's like I said, I got on this whole rabbit trail. I have all of these lists of research about those who are married having better sex, who are happier. So yeah, it's funny, but promote families. We need to promote families. I think in the pro-life movement, we talk a lot about we want you to choose life. And even if that means you're a single mom, we want you to be able to choose life and feel empowered to do so. But we also know what's best is if your child's raised with a mom and a dad. And I think we need to be cognizant of that. And I think we need to make sure we're talking about that. I think our pregnancy centers do a great job of, try to figure out how do we involve the men into the decision. So men know that they have a right and that they need to be involved. And that, their being involved is going to directly impact the outcomes of their child's life. The other thing we can do is we need to improve options in education. Right now, Students for Life, we're working with schools in Chicago. We actually, this summer, researched all of the universities, state schools and private schools in the surrounding Chicago as to how they treat pregnant and parenting students. What do they offer? What resources do they have? And then we've internally ranked them. We've given them all a score. We've written the universities. We're asking them to kind of change some of their policies, and we've offered to work with them and do everything. We're going to be releasing the scores at the end of this year. But I think it's important to say, we need to have an actual discussion in our country about how our universities are treating pregnant parenting students. I was reading an article not long ago, a CNBC article last month. 1 in 5 college students are parents. 1 in 5. That's huge. But where is this discussion? Where is the diaper changing station on campus? Where is the flexible class schedules? Where is when you go to campus, your freshman orientation, and they hand you the bag of condoms and tell you where the Planned Parenthood is? Where is the Bill of Rights for pregnant and parenting students? We're working on that, Students for Life. Most students we talk to on college campuses who are pregnant or are experiencing this crisis, they have no idea they have Title IX rights. It's the pro-life movement that's educating students about their actual rights on college campuses. Because Title IX is a federal law and says a school can't discriminate against you because of your status, your pregnancy or parenting status. We have a full-time person at Students for Life, our supportive services coordinator, Camille, who all she does is work with our Students for Life groups to promote our Pregnant on Campus program, to make sure that the Students for Life groups, not only are they advocating against abortion on campuses, but they're also changing their college campus, providing tangible support services to women and men who are facing these unplanned pregnancy situations. So no woman ever has to choose again between the life of her child and her education. But why is it that that's just the pro-life movement doing it? Where is the pro-choice movement? Why aren't they talking about that? I mean, I thought they were for choice, for God's sakes. The other thing we can talk about is, now this gets kind of conservative leaning. You don't really hear liberals talk about this a lot, but reducing excessive occupational licensing. In many states, the only people that conduct home studies for those who want to adopt are licensed social workers. And by the way, licensed social workers are they're overworked, low paid. But yeah, you've got people, you've got former teachers, former law enforcement officers who could do that, who could go to a home and say, yep, it's safe. No, it's not safe. Adoptions are averaging $40,000 a year. They take forever. Why don't we speed this process up and make these home studies faster, cheaper? We have this UN Rights of the Child that was signed until we actually ratified it. Our U.S. government ratified it not too long ago. That's actually hurt adoptions here and abroad because it said basically that the goal is to keep children living within the country of their birth. And so what's happening is countries are building large orphanages because now the goal is to keep the children in their native homeland rather than adopting out. Senator Mary Landrieu, I went to I think it's called Stuck. It was a documentary a couple years ago that, she was a Democrat. She's no longer serving Congress. She was a senator from Louisiana. She and actually a conservative political philanthropist worked together in this documentary saying, we need to unratify this treaty. We need to, these kids are now living in orphanages for years while you have people here in the United States, couples who are begging to adopt, but they can't adopt because of the stupid treaty. Daycare is over licensed. Do you know the city of Washington, D.C. and all of its wisdom The local government has made it so you have to have a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree from a college in order to just work at a daycare center. This is driving up the cost of daycare, which we all know for those, especially who are low income and anyone really in the middle class, daycare is your most expensive thing you have to think about when you're a parent. Working at a daycare facility is an ideal job, I would think, for a single mom or someone who's a mom who's going to school, because then their child can go to the facility, they can work there, get free daycare services. It's kind of like that movie Daddy Daycare. We watch it a lot at my house. My kids like it. Where the established preschool daycare center sticks like the local government on Eddie Murphy and his home, and they have to always make these regulations and these changes, or they're going to shut them down. The other thing we can do is help women in the workplace succeed. I think we need to have a real discussion about paid family leave in our country. I mean, Kamala Harris just came out and said that we need 6 months of paid family leave, which, by the way, that seems a little excessive, especially for Catholics and pro-lifers, because, I mean, that's like every year, half the year I could be off if I wanted to. But there's got to be a way we can do paid family leave. And so Students for Life actually had a lobby day in Washington this spring. I think we're the only national pro-life organization that actually had a lobby day on paid family leave. We flew in students from across the country, meeting with senators, meeting with their staff, talking about, hey, look, you guys got to figure out a way to get this done, whether it's a conservative-oriented policy where you just take money out of your own Social Security account that you've put in. But we've got to find a way, left and right, to make this work, because this is a problem, especially for low-income women, middle-class women living paycheck to paycheck. They need to know that they can take off time to be with their baby, which is the best for their child, the best for them, but also have their bills covered, and they can feel supported. But we need to be able to help women in the workplace succeed. I just saw an article last night, and I forget where I saw it. And if I wasn't so high on Sudafed right now, I'd recall it. I'm sorry. But it was talking about like these big tech corporations. Some of these big corps are the worst at helping mothers continue working. Why is that? Well, what's corporate America doing? There was a thing not long ago where all these like big corporations signed this abortion supporting statement. It was after the Georgia law passed in May, and it was like, well, yeah, let's look at all these corporations that pass this law supporting a woman's right to choose, and let's look at their actual policies and how they support pregnant and parenting women in the workplace. And guess what? It wasn't that good. Of course, these big corporations were pro-abortion because that helps them out. If women are staying in the workplace and are not having children, they see that as a benefit. But it's time that we actually have a real discussion about paid family leave and how we accommodate working mothers in the workplace. And I know it's hard. I have a mostly female staff here at Students for Life. We're, I think, right at 50 employees or right under. And it's challenging. We have to make accommodations. You know, we have I have a rule here where it's like, you know, your children up to 6 months, bring your children to work. Once they get crawly, it gets a little distracting and difficult. But do what you need to do. You need to bring in your pump and pump milk. Sure, put the milk in the refrigerator. No one cares. You need to breastfeed your baby? Go for it. You need to take your baby with you to a campus? Go for it. I've spoken at our national conference before with one of my children strapped into my baby Bjorn. We do what you need to do. But you have to have an accommodating workplace. And I find that the more accommodating I can be towards pregnant and parenting staffers, the longer they stay, the better my retention, which any person running a business knows it's way better to retain your staff than to hire new staff and have to retrain somebody. It just makes smart business sense. But these corporations aren't being forced to call into account. They're not being forced to have to say, yes, we support pregnant and parenting women and our workers. I think we also have to get creative to address our healthcare challenges. And like I said, it's not government funded healthcare for sure. But there's a lot of things we could do. For example, did you know that I think it says only 56% of foreign doctors who are immigrants living here in America have been placed into residency programs? That means 44% of immigrants who are doctors in their home nations can't practice medicine here in the United States. Yeah, how long does it take you to get into a doctor or specialist when you need to see them? Why can't we come up with a program to make sure those who've immigrated here to the United States legally, who are physicians, who are trained, who are practicing medicine in their homeland, can practice medicine here. Why wouldn't we want to do that? There's these certificate of need laws. So essentially, if you want to start a medical clinic or a hospital, you have to get a certificate of need, which is, some sort of like government license to say your facility is actually needed. But you have to go, and to get this certificate of need license, you have to go in front of a state board or commission and plead your case and say, well, I need to set up this medical clinic, I need to set up this hospital because of this need. Well, do you know that the administrators and executives of the other hospitals, your competitors, are on that board? Why do you have to go and get a certificate saying, and go to your competitors and convince your competitors to allow them to give you a certificate to open up a competing hospital or medical clinic? Why can't you just open up your own hospital or medical clinic? As long as you're following state laws, you're hiring people who have been trained and have been licensed, why do you need a certificate of need? We have people waiting for surgeries, and we've got overflowing ERs. I think we need more hospitals. We need more medical clinics. I mean, obviously, it's not as bad as it is in the UK or Canada or other countries with socialized healthcare. We're nowhere near those countries yet. But why do you need a certificate of need? You often hear on the campaign trail that you have all these people in a country who don't have health care but need health care. Did you know in 2011, I was reading this one study, it said in 2011, at the time, they were estimating only 52% of family with earnings who qualify for food stamps participated in it. And additionally, the majority of low-income children without health insurance are eligible for Medicaid or CHIP, the state children's health insurance programs, are not enrolled. What we're finding is there's actually all these benefits, and I did all this research on like what benefits are available to those who are poor, who need help. There's all these benefits. There's TANF, temporary assistance for needy families. There's S-CHIP. There's all these services out there, but what I found in my research is that they're actually not being utilized. People, just like with the pregnancy resource centers, don't know that they exist and don't know to sign up for them, or they're too burdensome. You can go to benefits.gov, and it has like a list of all the benefits that as Americans you're entitled to if you meet a certain income level, or you don't meet a certain income level. There's a child care and development fund, there's the earned income tax credit, food stamp program, S-CHIP, state children's health insurance program. There's all of these programs out there available to help people in need, but they don't know about it. Instead, the Democratic candidates, you'll hear is like, they act like that people are starving in the streets and no one cares about them. That conservatives don't care about those who are going to bed hungry at night or who need health insurance. But it's like these programs are there. There's a way to meet that need, and there's a way to serve them. And I'm sure there are problems with these programs. I mean, I worked in the government. I know what it's like, the bureaucracy that happens and some of the crazy bureaucracy. I'm sure there's improvements we need to make. But that doesn't mean we blow up the entire system and say, oh, we're just going to go with nationalized health care. That's going to make it all better, which Kamala Harris has already said. She wants to do away with private health insurance altogether. I mean, this is why, we're in this mess because of, quite frankly, President Obama. We have this Obamacare thing, which was this quasi-public, quasi-private healthcare system, which everyone knew was going to fail. No one, Nancy Pelosi, we have to pass it first before we know what's in it. It's a classic Saul Alinsky tactic of give the people, if you want something, give them a little bit of it, but make it crappy so it doesn't work. And then you can advocate for what you really want and then get what you really want. He has a better way of saying it, but that's essentially one of his principles. And that's what we have with Obamacare. We have this failing system, which everyone knew wasn't going to work because it was quasi-public, quasi-private. And it's failing. Shock. Costs have gone up. These state healthcare exchanges are crap. They don't cover anything. So now it's not working. And Democrats' excuse is, well, now we need state healthcare. We need nationalized healthcare. Wait a minute. You freaking broke it in the first place. Why the hell would I trust you to fix it? But that's what we have. That's what the Democrats are literally arguing for. Of course, there are things we need to change in our healthcare system. Of course, there are things we can do better to take care and support low-income families, mothers who are pregnant in crisis, who've been kicked out of their homes because they're pregnant, or whose boyfriend said, I won't support you, I won't stand by you when you're pregnant. Of course there's things we need to do better. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean blowing up the entire system. That means figuring out where there's problems and actually having a real conversation and actually getting down into the weeds and digging down and finding solutions. But the challenge is those on the other side, those in the abortion industry, don't really want to find those things. They don't want to have that conversation because they have an agenda they're trying to advance. They want state control, government control of everything. They want abortion on demand in all 9 months of pregnancy for whatever reason. So they don't really care. There's the honest truth, folks. They don't really care. If they cared, they would have this conversation, and they would be willing to have this conversation. But they're not even willing to have this conversation. On college campuses, when Students for Life groups try to have a discussion about how to support pregnant and parenting women on campus, you know who never shows up? The abortion group. One group I always say to make sure you invite. Whatever the pro-abortion group, whether it's a Planned Parenthood group, whether it's a feminist majority, which they're not a majority group, Campus Health Center, they never show up. They're not interested in having the actual conversation because at the end of the day, they're just trying to make sure their ideology, abortion on demand all 9 months for whatever reason, continues. Because they've bought into the lie that women can't be free, that women can't succeed without abortion. They've been duped. So pro-lifers, we're the ones who do care. And yes, we want to make abortion illegal again. Yes, we want to see Roe versus Wade and Doe versus Bolton reverse. The decision of Roe and Doe, the decision of abortion, go back to the states. We're going to fight it on the state level. We want that to happen. And that's going to be a good thing. And we should be unafraid to talk about it. So that's all I have for this episode, Explicitly Pro-Life. I hope I've given you a lot to think about. And don't forget to subscribe. Tell your friends to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. You can hit me up on Instagram, Kristin Mercer Hawkins, or on Facebook. If you have specific questions after this podcast, because I know I went over a lot of things and I didn't go too much in depth. I'm sorry, I am sick, so I had to try to limit everything I wanted to say. But I hope you'll tune in next week, and I hope you'll tell your friends to subscribe to Explicitly Pro-Life. Bye, guys.